Hello and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. For today's beer review, we're jumping into a beer from a brewer. It's been a while since I've had one from. We've had maybe 3 or 4 over the past few years. This is one I did get from Tavour, as per usual. This is Levante Brewing Company. They are based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And today we're going to review an IPA. This one's called Cut the Cake Confetti. Clocks in at 8% ABV. And this one was brewed with vanilla, strawberry, marshmallow, graham cracker, and lactose. So you could call it a milk IPA. They don't, but you know, like a milk stout, it's got the lactose in there. So it's going to let those additive ingredients speak. For the hop bill on this one, we've got 3 hops, Citra, Eldorado, and Mosaic. So, pretty cool little lineup. I saw this one. I mean, I've had stouts with kind of similar bills, but I've never had an IPA like this. So almost, you know, like it says, cut the cake confetti, like a birthday cake, you know, with flavorings like that, but in an IPA format. So label art on this one, it's very colorful, kind of gets you in the mood for the confetti, but very clean design. Not too much else to talk about there, so we're going to get this cracked, poured into our nice tall all-purpose glass today. Gently. All right. Yeah, that's nice. It's looking a nice true golden yellow here. If anything, it's maybe a little bit lighter on the color spectrum than I would expect for an 8% IPA. But that just means that maybe they are focusing on lighter malts in this one. 8% though, still plenty of fermentables. And of course, that lactose, milk sugar, cannot be converted into alcohol by yeast. So that is the additive that will let this flavor addition that they put in this beer come through and taste like they should. So the vanilla, strawberry, marshmallow, and graham cracker. So it's got a very pronounced aroma. I can already tell you right off the pour, I can really smell those hops. Visually, yeah, that's a lovely beer. It's a true bright, deep golden yellow color. I don't know how well that's translating on the camera with these bright LEDs backing it, but it's a very bright, true, deep golden yellow color. I would expect just a little bit darker hue on an 8%, but it's certainly in the spectrum. It looks fantastic. It is very active in terms of carbonation, and what I can see rushing up here is very tight, tiny champagne-like bubbles, which obviously did help contribute to this nice, rich, thick, creamy, foamy head. No problem there. So we're going to get right up on this for a full sniff. Oh, wow, yeah. So, they may have additives in here, but it is an IPA at its heart. And with a big, bold, in-your-face hop blend such as Citra, Eldorado, and Mosaic, you're really getting the hop-dominant aroma on this beer. I'm not picking up anything in here at all on the nose that smells like the additives, vanilla, strawberry, marshmallow, or graham cracker. That's nowhere to be found. I do expect it to be present in the flavor profile, but it's very dominated by hops. And yeah, there's a nice mix of kind of floral, bright floral, and some citrusy vibes. Subtle underpinnings of earthiness. There's nothing on here that really smells resinous or pine-like, no tar notes. It's really dominated by citrus and floral. And on this one, yeah, there's a little bit of that telltale slight blueberry aroma, which is pretty common with Mosaic. You don't get it on all beers, and it also can impart those same flavors. Again, you don't get it on all beers, but it is present at least on the nose on this one. It smells fantastic. So, look, this formed a big, thick, lush, creamy head. It's going to make a mess of my beer. There's nothing I can do about it, but we're going to jump right in, see what this is about. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is a really, really good IPA right there. Wow. Okay. Ooh. Now those additives are really playing their part. So this beer is kind of, I want to say it's like 2 sides of the same coin, but that's kind of the experience, the best way I can describe it. It's not two-faced. It's got different personalities that come and work together to make this cohesive whole. So the very first thing that you get when you swallow is just the intensity from the hop bill. This is a very bitter-forward, hop-dominant IPA. Maybe you wouldn't expect it to be since they added lactose and all these other kind of flavor additives to kind of play up the cake side of things, but it's still true to its base style. It's an IPA first. They're just having fun with the style by adding these other things in here. But make no mistake, this is a hop lover's dream IPA. Absolutely big, bold, pungent hop flavors and aromas, and a big, big kick of bitters. It's got a really nice big kick of specifically earthy bitters. In terms of other flavor compounds brought to the table by the hops, there is a definite and noticeable sense of citrus, and there is a slight suggestion of that kind of floral quality. You don't always get that in the flavor side, even though it's pretty common on the aroma side, but it's definitely coming through. So it's got a lot of these bright, fresh, hop, flowery characteristics coming through, both in the aroma and in the flavor profile. Now, we did talk about the Mosaic having this slight blueberry on the nose. On the flavor palette, maybe it's getting drowned out by the strawberry. It's definite berry, but it doesn't taste like blueberry. So you're getting a bit on the aroma, but not translating into the flavor profile in the glass. But that brings us to the second side of this coin. That is the additives. There's strawberry, vanilla, marshmallow, graham cracker, and then the lactose addition, of course. That started to creep in right about the 15-second mark after I swallowed on this first sip at least. And it had such big, bold intensity from the hops and the bitters. And then when that started to dial back just a little bit, that's when kind of the additive ingredients started to open up in the flavor profile. And what I got very clearly and first was strawberry. Behind that was graham cracker. The vanilla is a bit more subtle in the flavor profile. And there's nothing in here really I'm picking up to say, oh, that tastes like marshmallow. But, you know, it's just one of those ingredients. It's going to help boost the ABV because there's obviously a lot of easily fermentable sugars in a marshmallow. But paired with that lactose addition, it still kind of brings the whole vibe together. So a very, very nice beer. It's true to its style. It is an IPA first and foremost, and then it's almost getting like two beers in one. You get this nice combination of flavors that kind of put you in mind of a confection and, of course, a cake in this circumstance. Absolutely delicious, though. I had high hopes for this one, and it's not letting me down. So there was a lot to process flavor-wise there, so I'm going to have to jump back in for a second sip, pick apart this body and this mouthfeel. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about the balance and the finish. But my first sip impression, very, very tasty IPA. Take two. I would say this has a medium body. It's not particularly overwhelmingly heavy. It doesn't feel oppressively heavy. It's not quite as robust as I would expect on an 8%, but, you know, it's above average. It's got a nice body to it. The mouthfeel, there's a good bit of resistance. The resistance feels exactly what I would expect for 8%, and in tandem with that natural resistance you can really feel as it moves across the palate, this one is quite silky smooth, which you typically do see in beers that form those nice, thick, creamy heads because of that tight carbonation. This is no different there. It's exactly what I expected on the mouthfeel. In terms of the balance on this, I gotta say, I personally think that they nailed the balance. This would have been one of those that's easy to let the additives overpower the base beer style itself, but they really are giving you almost two beers in one. So you get an IPA first, and then you get this wonderful flavor additives behind this nice, lighter malt bill structure. So it's really just a truly, truly enjoyable beer drinking experience. And I always will say this, that the balance is going to be almost the single most important make or break factor in what separates a good beer from a great beer. And the balance on this, they nailed it. I would firmly put this in the great beer category. And indeed, it's one of the more enjoyable flavor added IPAs I've ever had, easily. And for me, it comes down to that this is an IPA first and foremost with big, bold, in-your-face hops. You get the aromas, you get the flavors, you get the bitters. And then as that dials back, the additives come in and they play their part. And it is just an absolute treat. It really, really is. In terms of the finish, this one's quite long. They're big, high alpha acid content hops. They were, of course, not shy with using enough in here to extract those alphas. And yes, there are very nice lingering bitters on the back of the palate long after each sip. And it is dominated by this underpinning of earthiness. That's where I'm left on the back of the palate with the hop bitters. There's no residual additive flavors either, so there's no hunting strawberry, no vanilla, no graham cracker. It's entirely ending where it started with the hop and the hop profiles and the bitters. But it is absolutely fantastic. I think that they nailed this one. I absolutely love it. When we come back, we're going to get this one reviewed from top to bottom. All right, now that we've gotten to enjoy this beer, we're going to get it ranked. This was Levante Brewing Company's Cut the Cake Confetti. This was an IPA, though you could call it a milk. They classify it as a double, 8% ABV on here. They're based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. This one did have added vanilla, strawberry, marshmallow, graham crackers, and lactose, and a really nice big high alpha acid content hop bill. So, starting with the aroma. The aroma on this beer was absolutely incredible. It really didn't smell like the additives at all. I was very pleasantly surprised and kind of had high hopes when I smelled it, and really what I got on the aroma was hops. There was a little bit of the underlying additives that came through, but it was quite subtle, and it was indeed dominated by these big hops. And there was nice earthy, nice floral, really bold, pungent. The aroma gets a perfect 10 out of 10. For the taste, I absolutely love this one. This was not a beer that was light-handed or stingy with the hops. They really put clearly a large amount in the right phases of the boil to extract alphas in there. And there were big, bold, underlying hop flavors that came through, as well as a boatload of bitters. I really didn't expect that in this beer that had a lactose addition, but they focused on the base beer style first, and then let the additives that they added add just an extra additional element to the beer. So it really was kind of like getting two beers in one. You got this big, bold, in-your-face standard IPA, followed by this flavored, underlying ale. And it was very nice. The flavors that they added really came through clearly. The lactose did its job, but it was just enough to let the additives taste like those added ingredients without making the beer sweet, and I absolutely loved it. Taste gets a perfect 10 out of 10. For the body on this beer was nice. It was a nice, robust medium, but maybe not quite as robust as you would expect for an 8% beer. Certainly well above average, though. The body gets a 7 out of 10. The mouthfeel was exactly as expected. It had the right resistance for the ABV range, and it was a really nice, silky smooth mouthfeel on top of it. Mouthfeel gets a perfect 10 out of 10. For the finish on this was quite long. They did use big, high alpha acid content hops, and they weren't shy with it. So you really did get a lot of life on the end of each sip. Certainly pushing about the minute mark, I was still having lingering earthy bitters on the back of the palate. It was absolutely tremendous. Only really missed perfection for my money by just a hair. The finish does get a 9 out of 10. For the remaining categories, it did get a perfect 10 out of 10. So that's the head and the retention, absolutely fantastic. The appearance, the balance, feeling intangible, my subjective category, and finally, as an example of the style, also a perfect 10, which brings the total score on Levante Brewing's Cut the Cake Confetti to a 96 out of 100. Guys, this was just a top-tier, truly delicious IPA. This was one I got from Tavour that I had set aside for a while because I was thinking, if this is done right, this could be a really special beer, and indeed, it was a special beer. It was true to the style, an IPA first, then the additives, just this extra cherry on top, and it was absolutely executed impeccably. This I highly recommend, especially if you're a fan of big, bold, in-your-face, hoppy, and bitter-forward IPAs. You're going to be very pleasantly surprised with this one. Folks, that's today's review. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to stay in the loop when our videos go live, just turn on your notifications, hit the bell icon. It's right next to the subscribe button. Until next time, keep it beer, keep it craft. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.